Hi, everybody. It's Eric Murray from the sugarhuddle.com. I wanted to recap my college football pick six betting lines and picks video that I did yesterday. And anyways, this is how my picks fared for week 8. And once again, I struggled. I was 2-4 against the spread and 2-4 as far as overall winners. I covered on the Kent State-Akron game. I took Kent State to also win, which they didn't win, but they at least covered. They lost by 1 in overtime. And I picked Oklahoma to cover, and they ended up beating up TCU pretty good. So I was good on those. And as far as overall winners, I correctly picked Oklahoma and Alabama. But anyways, just going down the line of the games, my game of the week, it was Clemson and NC State, and I was feeling pretty good that NC State would come out and, go 6-0 and look pretty darn good. And then they ended up losing 41-7, so I was dead wrong on that. I'll definitely take the L on that. Finley had 2 picks, 21-34, 156 yards, 15.6 QBR. Trevor Lawrence, 308 yards and touchdown. Travis Etienne, it was interesting because he only had 15 carries for 39 yards. Clemson didn't run the ball particularly well. They only had 91 yards on 32 carries, but they had 4 touchdowns. Etienne had 3. Yeah, NC State was just kind of inept in this game. They couldn't do anything right. And Clemson looks like the team that we thought they could be, a top 2 or 3 team that'll be in the playoffs and compete for a national title. So this is a team that, performance like this goes a long way. And, 7-0 now, 4-0 in the league. Had some big plays today. So, if we can see this Clemson every single week, they're going to be a pretty tough team to beat. But I didn't expect this. Now you kind of have to ask yourself, is NC State a fraud? How good is NC State? Because they didn't look particularly good in this one. So, yeah, what have you. And then another game I felt pretty good about that looked good for a while was Michigan State. I thought Michigan State would win that by field goal. Michigan wins 21-7. Kind of interesting game because you had Devin Bush from Michigan stomping all over the MSU logo, and you had pregame altercation. A 7-0 Michigan half. Remember, 10 minutes into the game, as in 10 minutes game time, not real time, there was a lightning delay, and then there was a big rainstorm during the third quarter, which, led to some lost fumbles and very sloppy football. So Michigan was up 7-0 at the half, is back and forth punting, nobody's moving the ball. Then the third quarter comes along, and, Michigan has it in their own territory, just made a big stop, and what do? They fumble it away. Michigan State recovers. Then Michigan State does a Philly special to Brian Lewerke, touchdown pass to their quarterback at 7-7. But Michigan State, any momentum they gained after that, they couldn't do anything with it. And again, just constant turnovers put Michigan in a position to score. Donovan Peoples-Jones with a 79-yard touchdown reception. Excellent play. He's a speedster. Obviously very, very dangerous return man. So, Michigan State's their third loss now, and they'll probably lose one or two more games. They still got to play Ohio State, and that'll be an interesting matchup with Ohio State's struggles. But Michigan, I got to say, I got to hand it to Harbaugh and company. They looked really, really good in this one. Again, the weather kind of affected things, and Michigan State's not a powerful offense, but still, a very, very impressive win for Michigan. Shea Patterson, especially with the weather issues, looked pretty darn good. And Michigan State, this is the best run defense in the country, and Michigan ended up having 183 yards and a touchdown. Karan Higdon had 144 alone. He looked real good. He's now a 6 straight 100-yard game. So, run-based football team, and if they can kind of keep it to where, like Patterson, he was 14-25, 212 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. If they can keep it to where he's only throwing it about 25 times a week, not ask him to do too much, and can carry the ball, if they can get 40-some carries a week and have this sort of success, Michigan can win out. Now, again, they still got to beat Ohio State at the end of the year to really say they're for real. But right now, they're in the driver's seat to represent the Big Ten in the playoff. So it's be very, very interesting. So they could be on a collision course with Iowa in the Big Ten title game. Very, very interesting to see what happens. But this was really the first time in a while that I really kind of felt like, wow, maybe this is a different Michigan team. Maybe this is a much better Michigan team than I thought, and maybe some other people thought, because especially after the week, the opener against Notre Dame didn't look particularly good. It really impressed me. Michigan State, 23 carries, 15 yards. Lewerke was horrible the whole game. He was 15 of 25 for 66 yards. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Pretty terrible, and he had 300 and some yards each of the last 2 weeks. It was pretty good. And Michigan, Don Brown's defense, their national championship caliber defense. It was just a matter of could their offense, kind of also keep pace. And right now the Michigan offense is starting to click. So again, you still got to, you got to beat Penn State this week coming up, and you still got to beat Ohio State at season's end for people to really believe in you. And then, of course, Big Ten title game. So Michigan's still got a ways to go, but I'm very, very impressed with what I saw today. And they're starting to sway me a little bit. So I still, nobody's going to beat Alabama, which I'll get to in a moment. But, maybe Michigan makes a run and can get into that top 4. So be very, very interesting to see what happens. Oklahoma, I correctly picked that game. I was a little bit off, though, because I thought they'd only win by 10. They won 52-27. And it actually was an 11-point game. It was 38-27. Oklahoma, a couple touchdowns at the end, really opened it up. Kyler Murray still trying to make that Heisman push, 19 of 24, 213 yards and 4 touchdowns. They had 2 100-yard rushers, 323 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Robinson was 3 of 8, 21 yards. He gets benched, and his backup goes 7 of 17, 142 yards, a couple touchdowns and a pick. Not a whole lot better. Only had 112 rushing yards as a team. So, Oklahoma, I was kind of looking like, okay, well, they can either be ticked off and really bounce back from what happened in the Texas game, or it's going to be kind of like Penn State where they still have a little bit of a hangover and maybe they don't play that great. And what ends up happening is they go out there and they dominate TCU on TCU's own home field. Like I said, it was a fairly tight game for quite some time, but just throughout you could tell that Oklahoma was the superior football team. And, again, you can't get too excited about the defensive side of the ball because TCU's offense isn't all that. But with if they can do enough, if they can make enough stops, and with Oklahoma's offense, firing on all cylinders, this is a team that's going to be very, very difficult for a lot of teams to beat. They're not going to beat Alabama, and again, nobody's going to beat Alabama, but nonetheless, pretty impressive outing for Oklahoma. And then, of course, Washington State and Oregon. I thought Oregon would find a way to win because this week I finally picked Oregon. They're down 27-0 at the half, and Justin Herbert didn't play bad, but the problem was he barely had the ball in the first half. Washington State had the ball for 20-some, over 20 minutes, and they were just scoring at will. The Oregon defense, which has had its struggles, just couldn't stop a heart attack, basically. I mean, they just had, Gardner Minshew could basically do whatever he wanted, just slant after slant, screen after screen, just dump off after dump off, and Oregon couldn't stop it. So 27-0 at half, and I was impressed. Oregon almost overcame that deficit. They're down 27. They came back, scored 20 unanswered, and make it 27-20 mid fourth quarter. But Washington State was able to make a key stop, and then they got the ball back, and they were able to drive right down the field just like they did in the first half and win it 34-20. So I was very surprised, and kudos to Washington State. With Alabama, I didn't expect them to beat up Tennessee that bad. Tua over 300 yards again, 4 touchdown passes. I mean, who's going to beat Alabama? They put up 58 today. And again, I know Tennessee's not a powerhouse by any means, but I don't see Notre Dame or LSU or any of these teams beating them. I just think, again, as long as Tua is healthy, this team is going to be unstoppable, and they're definitely going to be in that conversation for, one of the greatest teams in college football history. And Kent State Akron, I said I didn't really know much about either team. I just kind of picked Kent State for the hell of it. They lost 24-23 in overtime, so I was close, and I covered on that game. So, I mean, give me a little bit of kudos, I guess. But anyways, we'll see next week if I can get out of the cellar and stop being horrible at these college football picks. So I don't know. No guarantees. But anyways, go to sugarhuddle.com for more, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my NFL stuff tomorrow. Thank you.